Cameras are rolling. Drink your coffee.
I feel like an air traffic controller. Where's your camera light now?
Oh, right here. See? Right there.
Yes. There it is.
That fan behind you is the noisy fan.
Mm.
You okay if I turn it off?
I'm not okay, but you can turn it off. I am a farrier. How could I be okay?
Oh, nice cool water.
Yes.
Oh. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
You sure?
Yes, I am.
Get it all out of your system now.
There you go.
You have breakfast this morning?
Not really.
Do you have breakfast in the morning?
Most of the time.
What do you have?
It depends on what I get my hands on. Usually I'll do some eggs and something, or
Leftovers or something?
Leftovers.
Yeah, my dad freaks out because we'll have like spaghetti the night before, and then I'll have like spaghetti for breakfast in the morning. He's like, that's not breakfast. I'm like, define
today.
Yeah, define breakfast.
Right, something to eat in the morning, right?
Right, exactly. Oh, and here we go.
Now for something special.
And
the
we're
unit
off.
is self-contained with its own saddler, farrier, wheelwright, and so on. It's a rigorous training dished on who know all there is to know about horses, and it brings results.
We take you behind the scenes now to show just some of the interesting aspects of this training.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein, the #1 podcast to create sounder horses from the ground up. Mike Stein is a registered journeyman farrier with an APF1 accreditation. On this week's show, talking terminology, we're going to talk about the ringbone, the high ringbone, and the low ringbone. We're also going to dive into Chapter 4 of Tony Gonzalez's book. Chapter 4 is Small Fry Story, and also continuing education and mentoring. Mike is going to return to Kentucky to talk with one of his mentors that he had getting him started here in the farrier business. And over to my far inside is Mike Stein. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Boy, is it hot out there. Are you dying out there yet, Mike?
Almost. Not quite.
And I feel bad for you. We were talking earlier in the show. I said, Mike, it's hot. It's like I don't want to do anything outside. And you're like, I know in the back of your mind, you're like going, well, Travis, I've got to be in these stinking barns with no AC, no fans in some of them, underneath these, 1,500-pound horses, sweating. And how come you do you wear a headband or something to keep, well, I guess you're upside down, so the sweat would run off of your top of your head.
It just looks like it's raining,
I feel bad for you. Do you keep yourself hydrated and stuff?
I keep myself hydrated.
Do you? What's your hydration of choice? Is it just water, or do you have like something with electrolytes in it, or just
Primarily water.
Just water?
Primarily water. There's some other things that I take in through the day, but yeah, primarily water.
So, being that it's hot outside, Mike, I got you these things from my garden. So here's one. I'm going to show them to the camera here. Well, let me switch to the thing here so we can see it. So here's one of them.
Right.
And here's the other one.
Right.
All right. So don't make a mess this time.
Do you have any idea who you're speaking to?
And here's a spoon. And what I've handed Mike are these miniature, and don't forget, for every podcast we have a matching video. You can see us here in the studio. And what I've handed Mike are these two little small, like baby food mason jars. And I've created two hot sauces. Speaking of being hot outside, and I'm going to let Mike test these or try these. And that one that he has in his hand right now, these are from my garden, my own special blend of recipes. That's a jalapeno and Anaheim pepper. Now, be careful, Mike. That's a hold on. That's a big spoonful. That's a big spoonful.
That's what you wanted me to do, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
Go for effect.
I need you for the whole show, so there you go. All right, so he takes a bite. That's the Anaheim and jalapeno one.
Yes, somebody's home.
Yeah. Do you like that one?
That's actually not bad.
Thank you very much. I made that. It's my own little special blend of recipes there.
That is actually pretty nice.
All right, so that's yours to keep. Now try the other one. And we switch cameras here so you can see Mike dig his fingers in there. Now this one is straight red and green jalapenos with a little bit of tomatoes in it, garlic, salt, and vinegar and all the stuff that goes with it. That one's going to be probably a little bit more bitier.
Just swish it around like a wine tasting.
So do you like that one?
That's got a little bit of kick to it.
That's got a little bit more kick to it. So those are yours. Well, you're welcome to them. So hopefully, not the spoon, though. I need my spoon back. That's the only spoon I have in the house. That's the one I was...
Well, I just have to dip my fingers in there like I usually do, right?
That's the one I was born with in my mouth. There you go.
That's not what I was thinking.
All right, so there you go. So Mike's got his very own hot sauce that I made here on our property.
That is very nice.
So there you go. I hope you enjoy them.
I will do it for sure.
The red one I find works well on meat products. The other one is like an all-around, like on vegetables or eggs or something like that. So that's what I've done there. So I hope you enjoy it.
I think I will. Yes.
And what else you got going on, Mike, besides the hot sauce?
Well, playing catch up because I'm getting ready to head out of town.
Right, and we'll talk about that here a little bit later in the show. You're going to go up to Kentucky, and you're going to talk to Dr. Redden.
Emergency truck patch-ups.
What happened to your truck?
Well, I had some dash lights pop on, and I called my lovely mechanic, Nick, and he said, you're an idiot. And I said, yes, but we already know that.
Right.
And he said, I told him, I said I had anti-locks, and I had traction control lights pop on. And he says, well, don't try to put it four-wheel drive. Don't get stuck because it won't go in four-wheel drive when that goes on because this is one of those more modern trucks, so 17. And says, can you get by here? I said, yeah. I said, I'm going to Kentucky here in a bit. And I said, I'd rather take this one than the old Bruiser.
Now, this truck that you have out here, is that the one with 500,000 miles on them? Or no?
No. That's the new truck. That's only got about 200,000.
Oh, only 200,000. Okay.
No, the other one's got right at 12,000 miles. It'll cross 500,000, but had a right front wheel bearing that had a little wobble to it. And I said, well, how long is this going to be down? This depends on the parts or not. So I like to tell people, we changed it. I was just moral support.
Right. You can do it. You can do it.
Got it, buddy.
So you got it all fixed and patched up and ready to go?
Patched up. We're ready to rock and roll, head to Kentucky.
How long of a drive is that to Kentucky from here in Marshville?
Well, it kind of depends on which way you go. If you go straight, it's where I'm going. It's probably 6.5 hours, six and a half, maybe 7 hours.
Do you trust that truck to drive 6.5 hours, Mike? I mean, you got a lot. Yeah. It's got a lot of stuff in that thing, man.
Right.
Do me a favor, before you go, I told you this last week, take it to one of those church benefits where they wash your truck or, some kind of music band. I know school's out right now. Take it to one of those little...
You did not look at my truck.
I have. Did you wash it?
I did not.
Who did?
Nick did. He says he couldn't stand it. He put this purple whatever on it. And
well, Nick and I both had the same theory that truck needed to be cleaned.
Yeah, the old truck, he cleaned it up, and that truck was silver. And it is again.
Oh, well, there you go. It's not. He's
like, wait, this is the last time you washed the top of this truck. I said, bro, truck's how old? 15 years ago.
It's not road color anymore.
You can't see what's up there.
All right, guys, we got a big show to get into, lots to talk about. And don't forget, if you have a question for Mike Stein, email Mike Stein at anytime over at equinedynamics.com. We'll read your question here on the air. Or if you have a story like Amanda from last week talking about her horse trailer problems, about having a horse curried from one side of Florida to the other, and we'll send you out a prize pack as well. So Amanda's, yours will be coming here shortly, and you can get your question in along with everyone else's by going to equinedynamics.com. All right, guys, stick around. Lots to talk about. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. He'll be right back.
Ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. 9:30. Do you like those hot sauces?
I do.
You like them?
I kind of like that mustardy tang. Both of them are good.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. They will be good on stuff.
They will be good on lots of stuff. All right, you ready?
Yes, I am.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. Don't forget, for every podcast we do, you can see us over on YouTube as well. Just search Equine Dynamics Mike Stein over on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe to his channel over there. It just gives you another avenue, another venture to follow the podcast. We have a lot of visuals. Mike's got half a horse bone leg up there. He's got some horse hoofs. He's got a whole bunch of stuff on his table over there. He's going to talk shoes as well. And he's got a lot of stuff over there, and we'll talk about that. And you can see it in real time as we're talking about it here on the air. Just search Equine Dynamics Mike Stein over on YouTube. And over to my far right side is Mike Stein. How are you?
I'm wonderful, Travis. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How's your tongue? Is it not burning off or anything like that? You're not sweating. Well, you're sweating.
Not bad.
You're sweating a little bit over there.
A little bit.
Okay. You going to make it through the show?
No, probably not.
Drink some water over there. I don't want you passing out on me. Now, we're going to talk terminology. Now, this portion of the show, anytime you're talking to your vet, you're talking to your trainer, you're talking to your farrier, or anyone in the barn, and you hear these weird terms and you don't recognize them. Well, we try to help you understand them by this segment called Talking Terminology. Now, this week we're going to talk ringbone. And ringbone, we're going to talk about the ringbone, the high ringbone, and the low ringbone. So it's an abnormal bony growth in or around the coffin or pasture joint. So a high ringbone is in or near the pasture joint, usually visible. The low ringbone is near the coffin joint, often not visible. Now I'm going to switch cameras here.
Switch cameras, okay.
So Mike can show. He's got this bottom half of a horse's foot.
Horse trying to run off.
Bone there. There you go.
Horse won't stand still.
So what are we looking at here, Mike?
This is the front limb of a horse.
Okay.
And you've got your long pasture and short pasture and your coffin bone, and then your navicular bone is formed here in the back, and then your sesamoid bone's on either side. But high ring bone would affect the pasture joint, and you would have calcifications here on the pasture joint. Low ring bone would affect the coffin joint, and it can start anywhere in there, and it's going to vary some on what you can do with shoeing depending on where your ring bone is.
Now, when the horse has ring bone, what does it actually do to the horse? Does it limit mobility, or does it?
It limits mobility. So when, if it flexes in a way where it pushes those calcifications together, it causes pain. So we can do some things mechanically to help relieve the pressure. And it's one of those deals, if it's in the front of the joint, which is not uncommon, not ideal, we can actually bring it up a little bit. If it's in the back of the joint and you bring it up, you'll make the horse say, "Ow, that hurts." But I will use these to explain a couple of deals after our Tony Gonzalez story.
Okay. Now, how do I word this? What is the first sign when you're looking at a horse to say, okay, that's ring bone and not something else?
Well, you would probably come up with a subtle lameness on it off to start with, and when you went into certain directions, it may set it off more, which has to do with flexing that joint. So we do some stuff mechanically to help the foot roll against the ground as opposed to flexing the joint as much, basically is what it comes to.
Now, how does a horse get high ring bone, and is it the same cause for the low ring bone as well?
Impact, over long periods of time, just impact is a lot of it. Some breeds are more prone to it than others.
Like what breeds?
Your draftier breeds probably have a little bit more of it, I would think. And, if you got a horse that's constantly pounding a hard surface and you don't have something there to help with shock absorption, or you're fighting mechanics, if you got bad mechanics on the foot and you're fighting leverage and jamming the joint together and all such things, over time you can create some damage to it.
So another question that I have, so I'm thinking like ring bone would be, I know it's not, but it's
arthritic changes.
Okay, so I was going to say, is it like gout? Can a horse get gout where it's based on their diet? There's too much salty acids in their food or whatever, and how it affects us as far as gout. It causes our nerve endings to be bad and damaged. Now I know ring bone is not a nerve damage thing; it's calcification. But I mean, would a diet increase that, or is it, or if you got a fat horse and he's running on his feet, he's going to have damaged feet?
Right. Yeah. That could play a part of it. That would be something good for you to investigate in your spare time. I don't know.
I'll get right on it.
Good answers to that.
I'll get right on it.
It's like you got nothing else to do.
Nah, it's too hot outside, though, Mike. I'm not. As soon as I'm done
You
with
don't
this,
have to go outside to investigate this.
how do I do it then?
I don't know.
Well,
You can go on social media and get the most outlandish opinion you can find and go with that one.
I don't trust anyone on social media right now. So, in order to correct it, do you have to physically, surgically remove it, or is it just basically it'll go away on its own if the posture of the horse's foot is corrected?
Well, once you got the calcifications in there, you know, they do some joint injections sometimes. Once you get to a point that you've got enough abrasion between the surfaces of either side of the joint, and the calcification starts building faster, builds across the joint, it gets real painful because it's always rubbing. And then it'll hit a point where horse doesn't really try to use that joint. They try not to, and the joint fuses together. And when it fuses together and quits moving, it's not painful. But it does limit that joint as far as its function. It takes it kind of out of function. So, high ring bone is not going to affect the performance of the horse so much. Low ring bone, there's a lot of flexion in that coffin joint. The passenger joint doesn't flex that far.
Now, left untreated, what would happen? Like if I just had a pasture pony, lawn ornament, and it had the high ring bone, can you have high and low at the same time?
You can have high and low at the same time.
So let's say my pasture buddy out there, he's just walking around being a horse,
right,
being happy and fat, and left untreated, what eventually would happen? Eventually,
the calcifications will build. If you can get that mechanically out of a bind, you can probably slow that down some. But if they're just hanging out, what happens is what happens. It's like I was talking about your calcifications would start building on the edge of the cough bone, possibly here, possibly here, possibly here, possibly here. And as that kind of calcifies across and it becomes fixed, then you start losing the movement of the joint. Now, if it's starting to fuse and it moves and it breaks that point, they're going to get real painful for a while. And in the process of fusing, they're going to get pretty painful.
Now, you remember my horse Pepper that we lost this past year. Now, she had where her back hind leg would lock up and then kick out after a while.
That would be a fixated patella in the stifle joint. Totally different deal.
Totally different. Okay, I'm trying to compare of what I've seen on our horses here compared to what you're talking about here. All right, guys, stick around. When we come back, we're going to dive into the proper balance of movement, a diary of lameness, written by Tony Gonzalez, and we're going to talk about the small fry story. Stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. He'll be right back. Stop. Done.
I should have waited on that drink of water, shouldn't I?
That's all right. Oh, I guess I got to read now, huh?
Yeah. Sorry.
You and these early morning reads. Here we go. Okay.
You don't have to read the whole thing.
I'm not going to read the whole thing.
Just hit
welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein, the #1 podcast to create sound horses from the ground up. Make sure you go over to Facebook. Now, Mike has changed his personal Facebook feed to his now business Facebook feed. So the way you do that is search Equine Dynamics Mike Stein, and you see a picture out there with his nice clean truck. And I don't know if you got suspenders on over there, but make sure if you want to see all the business aspect or if you want to listen to all the stuff from the podcast, you can get all this information over there on Mike Stein's Facebook page as well. And over to my far right side is Mike Stein. How are you?
I'm doing good. Travis, how are you?
I'm doing well. Now, here we go. We're going to talk about Chapter 4, the small fry story. Now, this is a Chapter 4 from the Proper Balance of Movement, a Diary of Lameness, written by one of Mike Stein's mentors, Tony Gonzalez, and this was written back in the mid early 80s.
Yep.
And basically, the way the book is, this whole book is about, is a new approach on and a new method of thinking as far as looking at horses' foot and balance instead of just. What is the slogan or the phrase that you always say? You're always padding or you're trying to square the horse up on the bottom and not looking at the overall picture.
Right. Yeah. It's looking at dynamic balance as opposed to I guess sometimes we look too much at, is this what we think is pretty? You know, and the mechanical balance is where a horse has to work on it. And then looking further at the mechanical balance is how, you know, as far as like getting into the movement patterns of the horse and all that.
All right. Oh, go ahead.
And looking at what's going on up top and bringing that into the equation. Whether that be rider, saddle, the whole bit, the package has to work together.
All right. So this is chapter 4. And let me switch cameras here. There we go. And this is Small Fry's story. And it starts off like this. If you can get him comfortable, I want him to live out his days teaching my son. The quote starts. Now, this is written in the words of Tony Gonzalez. So Small Fry's owner, let's get started. I got to let everyone know that I'm reading.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Small Fry's owner, Roy, was a good friend of mine. In fact, when we grew up together, we were young teenagers and both started to rodeo ride junior bulls. At the time, Roy rode Small Fry and I rode Sonny Boy, my Palomino. Now, Small Fry was not only played an important role in Roy's life, but mine as well. When Sonny Boy got hurt, Roy let me ride Small Fry to compete. Small Fry was actually an island-bred horse. We Hawaiians, Tony is from Hawaii, correct?
Right.
All right. We Hawaiians have our own breed of horses. Old Palominos who worked on the ranches claim that the island breed consists of a Spanish barb mares, thoroughbred. Uh-oh, that's me. Just in time. Airplane mode. There we go.
I already airplane mode. Somebody taught me to airplane mode.
I know, I messed
my
up.
Horse,
I'm sorry.
My boat, whatever it is. Phone.
Yeah,
I can't airplane mode a horse. Go ahead.
Old Palominos who worked the ranches claimed that the island breed consists of Spanish barb mares, thoroughbreds, Morgans, and Hackney ponies. Small Fry fell victim in time. When Roy started to outgrow him, the horse went on the market. Small Fry ended up on a retail string. Not very good. Yeah. Not very good life for a former star.
Right.
Roy knew.
Hackline horse.
What's a hackline horse?
They go out, take people that don't know how to ride out to ride on trails, line them up, and go down the road.
Okay. One couldn't blame him for that. Roy was becoming one of the best ropers around and needed a good horse. So let's get to what actually happened to Small Fry. At the basis, the men on the trail ride of these horses are as recreational. Most of the workers at the barn were young soldiers who didn't know much about horses. The base was no exception. The barn was on the side of a hill. Mud was a big factor from the constant rain in the area and was always that it always experienced. The base dealt. So this is a military base, I'm assuming?
Military base, yes.
Okay.
The recreation horse, for the military base.
All right. So this made it easy for them to wash away the mud manure, simply hose off the floor with water. So tell me exactly what happened with Small Fry.
Well, Small Fry had developed ringbone, and Tony got the call to pull shoes off of a couple of horses they were going to put down, if you follow through the story. And one of them happened to be Small Fry, so he worked out buying Small Fry.
Okay.
And had contacted his friend. And so the deal was trying to get Small Fry happy with the ringbone.
So he had a personal connection with this horse, Small.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, I understand the other ones, but this one I've got personal connection with. I'm going to try to save this one horse and try to figure out what's wrong with it.
Right. And at that time, you had to make a lot more than what is made now because there's so much stuff on the market and you can only haul so much stuff down the road. I mean, I work in the forge a lot myself, like every day, especially when it's hot outside.
Yes. Now, here's a question I have for you. You say that a lot of this stuff back then was being made on the forge or whatever, but nowadays it's so much available. Is that the evolution of us dealing with horses and them getting into more problems now because of breeding, because of training, because of not properly taking care of them, that there's more stuff available now?
In the last 30 years, there's been a lot of research that probably never was really done before so much. and people keep coming out with products and what will sell and what won't sell and how to make the job quicker. The catch on that is, back when I was starting, you had to make a lot of stuff. You had to fabricate. Now we can go online, we can order this, we can put this on. And it's still kind of a generic fit. So I work, I was brought up, you work in the forge. And so, like, just for example, this is a stock shoe. It's a piece of steel. And, as it is, you can pull this out and you can nail it on a horse. Now, you can also take this shoe, box it out, hammer forge it, draw the brake over all the way back into here, which is a lever point. You kind of bevel off the front of the foot. And Tony's talking about what he did was kind of beveled, took the shoe and turned the branches in. So where you're knocking down on the outside, and then when you flip it, you're hammering here. So you take the shoe itself, and like if this is the ground surface.
Mike's doing a whole bunch of pantomiming over there.
Yeah, something like that. So this isn't flat to the ground, so the bearing surface is all the way on the inside of the rim. That way it brings your lever point from out here to where it can roll left, right a little easier. And the more roll you can get in it, the less it's torquing against the joint. I also might have, at that time, thrown some leather pads, stuff like that, and gave it a little bit of shock absorption, because probably the best shock absorber you had at that time was leather pads, and I use a lot of leather now. With leather pads, I never reset them. I throw them away, new stuff every time, because when they get wet, they compress, they get hard, they get brittle. Not brittle, not of much use, but it's a natural material, and you could put it in between the shoe and the foot, and get a little bit of spring to it. Nowadays, this is something that's on the market. This is a little rocker rail. They have some that are made that are the rockers real big on them, the mega rockers, and this is a Doc Redden product. And we could do this before, but if you took a regular shoe and you did it out of aluminum, you would have to be adapt with a torch to put your rail on it. So what this does is it moves the brake over further in, and if you look at it from this surface, let's put it up against this shoe, you can see that as the horse is coming and moving, it rolls across it. And if you notice, the high spot is more back here, and I can take this in my forge and adapt that a little bit to where that rock is, and actually I'll take a little bit out of the foot, and I can put more mechanics in it than it comes from the factory. But you could put this on some horses and make them happy without necessarily doing much adapting to them. There are some where the rocker is set dead in the center, but the problem is where the center of rotation of the foot actually is, as opposed to where the ground surface, bearing surface of the foot is. And you got to get far enough back when they load, they're actually lifting a little bit.
So Tony Gonzalez attacked Small Fry to make sure that he could get the horse and try to get the horse better.
Right.
So the book goes on. Small Fry responded to the treatment, and the rest should be obvious. Small Fry became a sound enough to be ridden by both Roy's child and little girl. Oh, and my little girl. It did Roy's heart good to have Small Fry back, and it felt good knowing that I was able to help. When Roy said, "If you can get him comfortable, I want him to live to teach his days teaching my son." I knew the risk, and I took to buy Small Fry, and it was worth all the money, time, and effort that I spent trying to get him healthy and comfortable. So that's another chapter out of the Diary of Lameness.
But you got to be adaptable when a horse comes to you, and try to work around the situation as best you can.
So these people, the Small Fry got turned over to a military base for recreational riders.
Recreational riders.
And they basically didn't care enough they just rode them until they broke, and then...
Well, a lot of those situations, and early on in my career, I worked on hack line horses, rental line horses, and most of those are going to go for the absolute cheapest fare they got, which means the kid that just fell out of shoeing school, who has, I can get a shoe on a foot. Now, what I do now and what I did at that point in my career is totally different. And, things I do this year are a little different than what I did last year. And hopefully I'm always improving a bit. My skills are getting better. And there's no end to how far this can go. So they take a bit pounding. You got unbalanced riders on them. A lot of times you may have saddles that don't exactly fit. You got somebody going out and playing Cowboy. And Small Fry was outside of the ride and was living on concrete, which is not ideal for a horse.
Not ideal for anyone.
No,
with bare feet walking
all.
around.
So that's that's kind of the story of that, and build some mechanics into the shoe to where you can eliminate leverage against that joint.
All right, when we come back, Mike is going on a road trip, and we're going to hear all about where he's going, why he's going, and who he's going to go see. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. He'll be right back. I hate doing cold reads, as you can tell. My eyes.
I understand.
I flip words around all the time, and I have to really, really concentrate to read.
Right. I get that. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I always chop it up and edit it so it all sounds right anyway. So the magic of editing.
Yes. We can make anybody seem intelligent.
Yeah, even you, Mike.
Well, you got a tough job here, but it can be done.
It can be done. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. Don't forget, for every podcast we do, we have a video as well. Go over to YouTube. Make sure you subscribe over there, and you can see all the stuff that happens here in the studio. We have a lot of visuals. You can see the hot sauce jars that Mike has over there.
Yes, we have hot sauce.
From my own garden. The one right there is Anaheim and jalapeno 50-50 mix.
Anaheim and jalapeno.
And then that one's red and green jalapenos with a little bit of tomatoes in it.
Nice.
Garlic, vinegar, all the stuff that goes with it. And over to my far hand side, my own very own vinegar is Mike Stein. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you doing?
Your mouth's still burning, or you need to take another?
I need another round of it.
All right, well, here you go. Here's a spoon.
I need another round of it.
Let's see. So Mike's diving into my homemade hot sauce that I made there. So he's
How much a spoonful should I get? A big one?
Whatever you want, Mike. That's all you. So here we go. He's gonna take you're gonna be hurting later.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Hair of the dog of some of them. Mm-hmm. Well, there you go. And make sure you like us over on YouTube, like I said before. Mike Stein. Go ahead.
We'll see how this goes tomorrow.
All right. And Mike Stein has also recapitulated his Facebook page. So you can see him now. He's allowed to have more than just the normal 5,000 limit on there. So make sure you go over there and fill that up as well. You all right, Mike? You made a little puss. Right?
Wonderful.
Go to his Facebook page as well. That's Equine Dynamics Mike Stein. You can see.
That red one's got a little more kick.
Yeah, the red one's got a little bit more kick to it. It's got what they call Caspian in it. So
Caspian.
I don't know. I make things up all the time.
Sure. Why not?
Now, Mike, you're going on a road trip.
I am going on a road trip.
Where are you going? Who are you going? And
I got to do a little wash.
Oh, he's got to rinse it down. Sweating again over there.
Yes, heating it up for the day.
So tell me where you're going, why you're going, and who you're going to go see.
Where am I going?
From my understanding, you're going to go to continue your education with a good friend of yours, a mentor that helped you focus, and get you to the point that you are today.
I'm headed to Versailles, Kentucky. I will start class on Monday, be Monday through Friday. It'll be a week of advanced podiatry. I've done a number of rounds with Doc Red. First time I ever rolled in his driveway was 1990 after losing my mare to laminitis.
Now, who's Doc Redding, and why are you going to go see him and he's not coming to see you?
Because
I know, I just kind of threw that out there.
He has been down here. We've worked together on horses in this area, yes.
But what's the significance of Doc Redding, and why do you make this trek to go see him?
If you dig in the world of podiatry, this guy has pushed the edge of the envelope real hard. He's figured out a lot of stuff. He's been involved in a lot of research.
Has Doc Redding and Tony Gonzalez ever met?
That I don't know.
Because that would be an interesting conversation between the two of them and their personal backgrounds. Now, I know we lost Tony Gonzalez back in 2000.
Right.
But, I mean, somewhere you said you met Doc Redding in the 90s, so I don't...
So I actually met Doc, was there before I met Tony by a couple of years. But, Doc is very research-based. Tony operates like the old duck theory. If it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, looks like a duck, it must be a duck, right?
Right.
And, that wasn't necessarily getting a lot of x-rays done and that sort of deal. Wasn't as available then as it is now. They would have had some serious discussions and probably appreciated each other. But Dr. R.F. Redden, they've got a supply outfit under, it's Nanrick, Nancy and Rick. And there is somebody, as a horse owner, you really need to look this guy up and start understanding some of what can be done out there as opposed to what is. And I hate to be too critical about my own profession, but I know where I was shoeing 30 years ago. And if I looked at what I did 30 years ago as opposed to where I am now on some of this horse I'm working on, I'd be horrified. And farriers have to take it upon themselves to educate themselves. This is approved for further and ed for the IEPF, which I'm heavily involved in. And vets, farriers, vets get further and ed points. I mean, he's when it comes to horses' feet, this is 50-plus years focused purely on the horse's foot.
Now, it's amazing that I know that
actually that's not completely true. Tendon, ligaments, and everything else attached to it. So anyway,
but it's always amazing. Like when you have a trainer, for example, the only trainer I know is Brett Ingram, and he strives to get a certain level, certain recognition. As far as Brett is a level 4, whatever. I don't know what his physical title is, but he does have a physical title,
right?
As to where like farriers actually dive into, I mean, they're almost like, I don't want to say chiropractors because that's not what it is, but they are not regulated, but they do so much for the horse. I mean, anyone can, like you said.
You know what regulates farriers?
Who's that?
Getting fired.
Yes, exactly. But like you were saying, the one kid that was doing the Hackney horses, he was probably a roofer at one time, and he could swing a hammer, so, hey, put these shoes on the horses. Oh, I could do that, and put the shoes on the horses.
And, the deal of it is like I was talking to some of these guys over in Europe, that a lot of the groundbreaking stuff comes out of this country.
Out of the United States.
Out of the United States,
right.
Yes. Australia has done an awful lot too. But places where they're limited on what they can try. And, we've got people like Tony, we've got Doc Red, and we've got, the list goes on as far as people, Bernie Chapman, about what people can do out there and how they can affect the horse, where we have the freedom to be able to experiment a bit without, it's like Dave Nichols from England said we've got to look at what you guys are doing and then get it approved by our board. So we're 10 years behind you in a lot of ways.
But there's so much science in what you do, Mike, that how do you demonstrate that? How do you, in your name, and Mike Stein, professional farrier?
Have you looked at my resume?
I have looked at your resume, but you don't carry the resume around with you and show up. Here's my resume for
you know how it's demonstrated.
Yes, I know, but tell everyone else.
Okay. You ended up calling me over here. Your wife did.
Yes.
Because of what? Because
of word of mouth, that people know that Mike knows the ins and outs as far as getting a horse sound. And there's a lot of, like I said, science behind it, and you know how to tweak this and turn this. Hey, the horse is this way.
Farriers.
Shoulder drop this way, and the ring bone and all the other stuff that goes in with that.
Farriers needed to be doing further and ed every year.
Yes.
I've been doing that throughout my career, and there's so much out there, and we're changing and we're learning all the time. Now, the problem is going up, lining up horses, cranking through them fast. I want somebody good and cheap and fast because I don't want to wait. Well, I don't shoe horses fast, you know that. But on the other end, when your wife was having problems with her mare, and I came over and did what I did, your mare was happy, and
oh yeah, she was, yeah.
The horse was telling you something.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right. So if the horse isn't happy, and somebody else comes in, and the horse is all of a sudden happy, that's what tells the real story, right?
Correct.
But further and ed opportunities are there. With the IEPF, they ask you to do a certain amount of further net every year. I am 4, 5, 6 times what is required, and still don't do enough.
So you're going to go see Doc Redden this next week. And you're continuing to.
Right, and this is, as far as the advanced podiatry deal, this is at least the 4th time I've gone through the program. It always changes. People say, why would you go back? Because he's figured out new things. And
you want to see him.
That's right.
And you get excited.
On the cutting edge.
Yeah.
Right. And the years doing the laminitis symposium he used to run, the years doing the hoof care summit, the years working with Tony, any other clinics I've been to. I mean, and there's a long list of people. Like, this past year, Simon Curtis from England. I did clinics with him. I've done clinics with other people from other parts of the world, and gotten to listen to lectures and watch what they're doing and dig into research. And like Dr. Mansman gave me the opportunity to work with him, who is Rick and himself. Really, that's where a lot of the podiatry movement even started. So there you go.
So when you go see Doc Redding, make sure you tell him I said hi.
I'm going to tell him Travis said hi, because he knows who you are. Everybody knows who you are.
Well, everyone does in the horse community knows who I am. Make sure you tell him I said hi. And so the classes start on Monday. Are they 8-hour days? Are they, I mean, that's a lot. I mean, if you're going from, I mean, it's like a full-time job from Monday to Friday,
Well, we'll get 2 15-minute breaks, 30 minutes for lunch. Class will be rolling at 8 o'clock, if not earlier, and class will be going till at least 5:30.
That's a long
6
day.
o'clock, yeah.
But it all pays off because you learn some stuff. You get refreshed on stuff that you knew but forgot about.
Right.
And then you have a different approach on, hey, this is what everyone else is trying. It's working for them. Let's see if I can work that. And that'll be perfect for this horse I've got over there on 5th and Main that I'm working on.
I actually referred a case to Doc this past week.
And how did that go?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything back. But there's some real questions that need to be answered before anybody gets involved with that situation. Because if I'm going to get involved in it, the questions need to be answered. I'm not going to go in guessing anymore.
So you're going to team up with him on that while you're up there?
It's possible. That's up to the owner at this point.
All right, guys, we'll stick around on one more little segment, and we'll let you get back to enjoying your pony. Stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. He'll be right back.
Were we terrible?
We got one more segment. Oh, yeah. What do you got, a hot date, Mike?
I was going home.
Yeah.
I was going to go shoe horses.
Yeah. I got to get out of here.
I got to catch up with you. Or you got to catch up with me. I was already leaving.
Yeah, I'm out of here. All right, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. If you have a question for Mike Stein, the way you get a hold of him is go to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page says contact us. Fill out that little form. Ask him a question. Tell him a story if you like. And if we use it here on the air, make sure you put a return address. We'll send you out a prize pack as well. And if you'd like Mike Stein to perform a clinic out at your location or event, he's got a whole bunch of visual stuff that he has. He's got a full-scale miniature horse or smaller horse that he can bring out as well that's got all the bones and stuff, and her name is Dolly. He can bring that out to you as well. And also a little bit, you can see he's got this one. What is that you got there in the studio?
This is a lower leg. It's from the knee down. You got all the way down to the coffin bone.
So he's got a lot of different visuals and stuff that he can bring to your location and do a small little clinic for you as well. And over to my far right side is Mike Stein. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. I need to eat some more of that hot sauce.
Well, you can
These jars are not going to last the day.
Well, you're halfway out the door here in that last segment, so I had to bring you back in to wrap up the show. So
they're ramping things up, getting it rolling.
All right. So what did we learn today? Talking terminology, the ring bone, the high ring bone and the low ring bone.
Right. We've had that discussion before, and we were talking about the position of the ring bone and some of the effects of what happens with ring bone.
And how do you get it, and how do you correct it, and what happens if you let it go?
Your horse will become unusable, and after a while, they'll fuse together and they'll become more comfortable. Depending on the high ring bone, horse can do some light riding after that. Low ring bone, it depends on how happy they are, but you're going to change the function of the leg. They can bear weight, carry weight after the joints fused up, but it's going to be a big, ugly knot, and they're not going to be performance horses anymore.
And the story of Small Fry from Chapter 4 of Diary of Lameness, Proper Balance Movement written by Tony Gonzalez. And that's this right here. So if you can find this in your stores.
That was a Ringbone story.
Yep.
And that's why we went back on the Ringbone situation. And, you know, you got to help your old friends out. Do your best for them. If we're not doing our best for these animals, what are we doing? Why are we there? Why did we mess with them, right?
Right. And continuing education and going to see one of your biggest mentors. A mentor is someone who's in hindsight can become your foresight. And that's Doc Redding. And you're going to go up to Kentucky to go see Doc Redding. You're going to be out there for a week. So no show next week, guys. I apologize for that. But now would be the great time for you to go back and watch all those videos and catch up on the older podcasts as well. And so what do you plan on getting out of the event this week that you got coming up going to Kentucky?
Well, I'm heading up there, taking Dr. T with me, and we're going to meet up there. We're actually going to meet there this time and go a little further with, you know, the vinograms, with dealing with tendon damage, with dealing with podiatry issues from clubfoot to laminitic horses to any kind of structural problem with the foot, how to deal with it.
And you can see us on the video. Actually, there's Mike on the right and Doc Redding on the left-hand side. He's the one with the chaps on.
He's the good-looking one.
Yeah. So there you go. All right, guys, on that note, we're going to let you get back to enjoying your horses. Make sure you follow Mike Stein over on Facebook. On his new page, it's Equine Dynamics Mike Stein. Let's go back here. Equine Dynamics Mike Stein, and make sure you follow us on YouTube as well. You can see all the visuals that we have here in the studio, and Mike down in shots of hot sauce over there as well. On behalf of Mike Stein over there,
y'all have a good day. Enjoy your horses. Do the best you can for them.
My name is
Trav. See Doc Redding.
My name is Travis, saying see you next week.
Right.
All of the doggies are in the corral.
Hurry, I've got smoke coming over me.
All of your work is done.
Do you like that hot sauce?
Just close your eyes
that's good.
and dream, little pal.
That's nice. That worked
Dream
Yeah.
of
go into competition.
some.
Oh, God.